Let's talk about principles. Principles of obtaining spiritual understanding relating to connections to the source, to the light, to other spiritual individuals that are around us. Or is it principles? Could it be something else? Could it be an understanding of self-development? A choice of reason, a reason to believe, a reason to achieve, a reason to do, standardization, the ability to perform something beyond what others can do, a kind of normalization in the advanced state, the advancement of humankind relating to connections to both worlds, being a representative, an ambassador to the cause, a justification, the right and proper thing to do in order to be different than a backward standard. Backwards is relating to people who are not advanced spiritually. It's a kind of king of the jungle, or it could be classed as king of the hill, a thing we played as children. King of the castle, we used to call it. It's the ability to be an outsider that performs a duty to mankind, a duty to the source, a duty to the light, a duty to become a medium, a clairvoyant, the ability to stretch your mind, the ability to link with spirit, the ability to perform a recommendation from the light to someone else. The ability to, if you don't understand what that means, it's someone who's like a doctor, who performs, someone recommends, someone who is above and beyond. It's a calling. It's the ability to be a fatherly figure on behalf of the Father. It is someone and something that is perfectionist, a perfection that is almost like gold. It is considered as enriched, or enrichment, if you wish to believe that, wish to consider that idea. It is something that we do as a medium or clairvoyant that takes something out of thin air and uses it for the better, or for the good, or for the greater purpose, for someone else, in order for them to feel that they are loved, wanted, and they are not alone, that their parents or deceased loved ones have left them and not gone, that are still with them. The only difference is they are not seen, they are in energy form. We, as we know, are like atoms, molecules. We are physical. But spirit, that's a form of energy. That's different. We can physically, I do apologize, we can physically touch ourselves and see ourselves. We can stand in the mirror and know we are there. But if we try to see spirit, the understanding is that we are led to believe that they are not there. We are dissuaded, if that's the right thing, from government sources, even from parents and carers who teach us as we are living our lives that such things must not be messed with. things that we have to consider as untouchables, not real. But we have to understand that yes, they are real. We have to understand that we have to break down these barriers and stand our ground and tell other people that yes, they do exist. Now, these days, things are being proven, but still they're not being admitted. Why? What do we fear? Do aliens exist? They say no. Yes, they do. Do other sources other than aliens exist, or other beings? Yes, they do. But what do we have to do in order to become real in God's name, real in Spirit's name, real in our own terms? We have to believe that such things exist outside of humankind and have always existed thousands and thousands of years. I actually met a spirit who was an incredible character. He had been on the earth plane, living in a very old house that was important to the town in his time, and still is. And he wouldn't go back to the light. And myself and another medium came along, and he got quite uptight about both of us sending him to the light, and he didn't want to go. He wanted to stay and do what he called his penance. But in reality, I knew that he didn't want to go because I would take it that he feared God's wrath. But God isn't like that. If you actually understand the principle of doing penance and forgiveness, well, God can forgive you. And then if you take the daring do, or the step forward, and actually find what we call the light, a doorway to the light, something is set up, which is kind of work I used to do, in relation to helping individual spirits to understand their wrongdoings and brush them off, and to release the earth plane in order to go up to the spirit realm, go through the door, the light, and situations for them would have changed, and some did. But the chastisation isn't there. Once you've crossed over, if you can understand that you can let go and go to the light, the source, the realm, the door will be open for them. For some people or some individual spirits, it can take a little time until they're found and sorted, until things are set in motion, and then the principle of forgiveness, of letting go, of getting rid of this attachment to negative spirits, and just almost like a train. You can imagine you getting on and off a train, and then off you go. As simple as that. You let go of where you are and what you were all about, and then you move on. That's kind of the way it is. It's a step principle. And then once you're into the spirit realm, the teachings will begin, and then the help will come for them. And then everything, it gets back to realization that life goes on. You're in the light. You change your ways. You create what's going to happen in your next life. And then you are reborn. Start all over again. Perhaps with the understanding that the things you did wrong, the situations are helped along, like a kind of a book of principles. And these principles are that you go through your next life working on individual character traits of understandings, and you gain an understanding of source and light and good. But whilst you're on earth, what happens? The negatives will come along and try to encourage you. The peers will not let go. They never do. They never tire. They get to follow you around. And then you do something wrong. And it's a here we go again on your second time around, a second life. But what do you have to do in order to stop it? There are certain rules and principles put in your way. And we all understand in the Bible's teaching, and I'm not enforcing Bible principles on anyone. This is for myself. We go through our lives and we simply adhere to certain individual lessons. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Yeah, we know them all. It's kind of been an expectation of being good. Do you ever wonder why most people have lost the ability to connect to spirits? If you think back to when you were children, in those days, the idea of play was an anything goes. Imagination, run it wild. Anything can be whatever they choose it to be. It was a positive venue. They created play, or we created play, anywhere where we had the chance to. If you played in a tent or played in the woods, we created fictitious characters. We had no rules and no regulations about anything. Our minds were for real. Our facts and features and storylines, anything that we created as children was a land of make-believe where adults had no ruling or no say in the matter. Think about it. They went through their lives, and if they created the idea of cowboys and Indians, they were real. Adults, they seem to have lost, or we seem to have lost, or most people seem to have lost the understanding of things that are not physically seen, so therefore they're not real, and yet in the mind of a child they are. Well, that's a kind of how shall I put it, it's a way of disillusion. It teaches the child that if what is not touchable, smellable, hearable, it doesn't exist. But in the spirit world, it really does exist. And that's something as a child, or as children, they had the ability in order to connect to spirit. They see things that we don't, or adults don't. And as adults, our upbringings has taught us to turn away from what cannot be seen. It's the bogeyman principle. Shut the doors, it'll go away. Don't believe it, it doesn't exist. This kind of philosophy is drummed into a lot of children, and if you remember, there's a lot of adults who tell their children to grow up. Everything that they're doing when they're playing, you must grow up and stop doing it. I was just thinking that what could be done about the fact that there is so much disbelief going around, and what is it you've got to do in order to brush it away, sweep it away, knock it off, get rid of it, and why we don't. Did you ever stop to think that maybe there's another spiritual based form of negative values that impress upon us their wishes, their needs, their desires? A kind of bullying. They follow us around throughout our life, trying to undermine whatever it is that we believe in and take it away, get us to ignore stuff. They affect us in many ways. And as spirits, souls that work with the process of humanity, good, it is our understanding that we have to fight for our rights, fight for our beliefs, stand our ground, and enforce a principle of acceptance of the heavenly realm, of the good, of the light, of the source, of God. It is a way of being that has benefits for all of us. Each individual has the right to succeed with what they were given when they were in heaven. The communication process is one thing. The ability to understand others' needs, a feeling that you get. You ever wonder why you don't have it? Yes, you do. It's in there somewhere. You just gotta dig around and find it. Find the testing ground. You never know. It just might work. But as for now, I'll leave it at that and leave you with God's blessings